That's right.
But the other thing that I want you to hit upon, and I don't know if one of you three may know the answer to this question, but just in this Keller Williams office, the percentage of cash deals this year over prior years had to be up, what, at least 30%? Look at the number of cash deals just in this office.
I'm not sure exactly the percentage, but it was
Andrea, we
huge.
just tell you they're cash deals because we're not using them.
We didn't want to hurt you if they had 30% less business. Actually, we could pull
Is
that
he
off.
not awesome? Don't you love him?
We should be able to
No,
pull that off the MLS.
you absolutely can.
Because
So
we can shoot
that's a
five
great
minutes.
stat to know.
But that's a statistic that would be
That
interesting,
would be
but
interesting.
just based on numbers, that analyzing, and I didn't really analyze that as an item, but based on the other numbers that I analyzed, I would say it had to be at least a 30% increase.
It might be. And
We do have, but there is a report that we can run that shows it too. We do have a report that shows what the cash
I would say for me that's true.
Okay.
I mean, I had 3 or 4 that were cash, and I'm not talking about just an investor small. I mean, $300,000-$400,000 house that was cash.
Right.
There
Well,
were lots of million
that
dollars.
goes back to the uncertainty of the consumers too. So they're finally able to sell their house, and they made, they sold a $400,000 house, got $200 out of it. Guess
Right.
what? They're buying a $200,000 house.
That's
Because
absolutely true.
I mean, they're just scared still, and they're going to be
Because
smart.
they don't want to have to worry about, can I make my mortgage payment?
Yeah,
I've been worried
future.
about that for the last
For the last
5
10
years.
years, I will never put myself in that situation again.
Exactly.
So
I don't have to.
we're seeing that.
I can get a big house for that price because
now,
prices are down.
exactly. So
We have 3 cash
Three
buyers.
people that want to sell right now, us to list their houses, and they said, and we want to buy cash
Right.
smaller on the other
Right.
side.
Whatever
That's
equity I get out of it,
Exactly.
that's what
That's
I'm
my
putting into,
purchase
that's my
price.
purchase price, exactly, so.
Yeah, so we're seeing it.
Yeah.
So you're exactly right, Andrea.
And as these people over the next 4 or 5 years pay their mortgage down just a little bit more, and then they're actually able to sell because they can.
Well, and their confidence is not gonna go up
No,
over the next 4 or 5
they've
years.
been suffering for 10
Yeah,
years.
and they're gonna be
done.
suffering a few years longer, and they're gonna do the same thing.
That's right.
Well, we're
cash
just
out.
got our house 17 years.
Yeah.
Thank God.
And I think, it's going to drive those people that are able to get $200,000 in equity out, and they see the prices going up on what they're going to purchase as well, and they're like,
You know what?
we got to go now because we're not going to be able to afford it without a mortgage.
Right, right.
But what I do want y'all to use as a selling tool for people that are going through that is, even though it's been so difficult, they had a tax write-off, and they always forget to equate that into their total numbers. So they truly are not losing.
Right.
They've been able to write off their $15,000 worth of mortgage interest, or their $50,000 if it's $1 million house of mortgage interest. I mean, that's tremendous.
Well, I mean, it's still go back to increase of 30%. It's like free money. I mean,
It
really is.
it is
That's
like,
insane. You almost want to go out and get a loan.
I know.
And in what?
Yeah, you're like, this is never going to happen in our lifetime again.
No.
Well, you're
In
certainly going to
2000
outpace inflation. If you're at 3, the inflation's going to be higher than that.
Yeah, right.
Well, in 2004, interest rates to get anywhere in the 3s, 3 1/4 was on a 3-year arm.
Yeah.
3-year arm.
Mhm. So let's talk real quickly about our renters that might be thinking about stepping into the market. What do we tell them about if they keep renting for the next 3 or 4 years?
They're going to lose their buying power.
Yep. And rent rates are going up.
The rates are going up. Prices will eventually go up. You're going to get into
More
the
for
market
rent
right
than
now.
owning.
And by the way, even today, we used one of your scenarios about if the interest rates go up 1%, you've lost 10%.
Yeah.
This morning we used that.
We used it this morning, and it was quite a good response.
It's inevitable. They are going to go up.
They
You're going
are.
to lose 10% of your buying power.
They
You
have
know
to.
what? Are you ready to risk that? If you are, then that's great. If you're not, then you really need to think about it.
And this guy has a listing appointment this morning, so we're kind of
Perfect.
holding off. We told him that, and he's like, yeah, you know what,
Yeah,
let's
see you
clean
next
up
week.
and next week.
Mhm.
Awesome. So it's,
Yep.
and that was just saying what Andrea said at the meeting yesterday.
We were just saying that what you had said at the meeting helped us get a listing
1%.
appointment next week for
Right.
going 1% increase, which everybody sees coming.
Right.
You've lost 10% of your buying power.
And it's
Kind of gets people off the fence.
math really scares people, but that is such an easy analogy
Mhm.
that you can't miss it. And you can put it in any price point, and you just say if it's $500,000 house, You just lost $50,000 with your buying power.
You and I share the math thing, and that's what I wrap my hands around. It's amazing. It's such a logical statement that even somebody who's not a math person says, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Or they think you know what you're talking about anyway.
You know, what the heck?
Man, they must know what they're talking about.
60% of facts are made up is what I
He's
hear.
real smart.
There's no doubt there's truth in that.
66% of stats are made up.
You just made that up.
You know, that was,
You
our,
just
our
made
daughter,
that up,
our
didn't
daughter's
you?
in Wilmington taking her first statistics course, and she said, Dad, what is statistics really about? And I wanted to capture. I said, it's about
Lying.
people lying
Lying.
about the numbers. And the numbers on the end of the statistics course is don't believe anything anybody tells you
I
about
hope
the
you
numbers.
did not say that.
I did. I said, it's 15 ways to show both. That's all.
Back to the renters for just a second. I think there is an opportunity there for agents to go after the rental market. There's some people that have to rent because their credit's not good. There's some people that are going to rent because they're transient. But I know for a fact, owning rentals, that there are some people that rent because they are worried that if they buy, the housing market price is going to go down. And they're scared to death that they might lose 2
It's a
cents.
bad investment.
Well, okay.
Exactly.
One thing
A life's investment, and I'm going to
And I'm gonna
Well, a
make
lot
it
of
small.
people, but a lot of people did.
They did. That's why they're scared about it.
But
Well,
a
one
lot
thing I
of
did-
people didn't, because if you take the mortgage deduction that those people took while they
Right.
lived in their
Oh,
house
yeah. They were,
with zero increase,
they were there for free.
absolutely.
Well,
And the other thing is, they're gonna pay for somewhere to live.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a mortgage or whether it's rent. And someone had used that argument with me just a couple of weeks ago. Well, you know, with the job situations and all, I'm like, regardless of your job, you're gonna live somewhere. And you're gonna
You gotta
have,
have a pillow underneath your head.
you're
So-
gonna be paying rent or you're gonna be paying a house payment and you're gonna have to figure out how to do it.
And telling y'all just normal mortgage numbers. Every $1,000 is about $5.50. Every $10,000 is about $50, $55, and every $100,000 is about $550. If you do that and just take their sales price times a normal interest rate, and always if interest rates are at 3.875, go at 4 1/4. Take the amount they're going to borrow and multiply it by 4 1/4%. Divide by 12, and that will give you their monthly interest. Multiply it back by 12, and it will tell you what their tax deduction is for the year. It's so easy. I mean, if they're borrowing $500,000, do 500,000 times 5%, divided by 12 is going to be the amount of interest that they're paying a year and the amount that they can write off. It's very simple math. And when you can tell people that's what their tax deduction is,
It
and
helps.
it's not a wash, but I mean, it's a real simple math.
Helps. Make the difference between making a deal.
well, and I think if you explain that, the only real concern most people have is, well, what if the housing market prices go down again? Okay, but this is saying that we might be stabilizing. And if you ever try to time the market for stock and purchases or anything, it can't be done. So this is about as close as you can get to timing the market, in my opinion.
And we've shown stability on prices. We have, especially in this area, we really have shown that it has been a nice run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty flat.
Yeah.
And that's what still, if these figures are right, still a little bit of oversupply. So if we come into a balanced market, that should strengthen that number and make it even, maybe it'll tick up just a little bit if we have a balanced market.
I'm sure Ken has a feel for this too. I have a great feel that there's a lot of people that are just, they're literally days or weeks away from saying, now's the time to make my move. A lot of pent up selling wants.
We're even seeing a tremendous increase in volume, just people wanting to know if they have the capability to buy.
Exactly.
Wanted that knowledge.
Yep,
Just,
yep.
Exactly.
And if you can get them in, and I say this over and over and over again, if you get that phone call, get them into the office. Don't give me their number, don't give them my number. The worst thing you can do is give a client my number. You need to give me their number, because I'm going to be brave enough to call them.
Right.
They're not going to be brave enough to call me.
That's exactly right.
Secondly,
We know
make
that.
the appointment for them. Bring them into the office. They begin to see that that's real. The math is done by hand. They understand they have a capability to buy. what type of loan they need, how much money they need to put down, and they're going to look in the arena that they can afford.
That's a great
If you
point.
take them out first and let them ride around, they're going to see a 350 and they can afford a 150. They're never going to be happy. But lead your customers. Don't let your customers lead you. That is very, very, very important. In the jumbo arena, they need to know if they qualify or they don't before they step foot in someone else's home. It just amazes me the people that will put a borrower in their car and ride them around. They have no more capability of buying what they're looking at than the man in the moon. And they lose the opportunity to sell something because they can buy something.
I think it's a great point. They should call you and say, Andrea, when can you meet with my buyer? Great. Call the buyer and say, I have an appointment for you. Here's the address. This time, this day.
Or let me call them. Do not just give them my number.
Yeah.
If y'all knew how many times people say, I gave somebody your card.
Right.
That's great.
They never
It doesn't
call.
do any of us any good.
It's scary to call vendor,
It
right?
is,
It's
and I
scary.
am such an intimidating person to call too.
You are with a drink in your hand.
Yeah.
But-
We are videotaping
Yeah.
this, by the way. We are recording.
But the
that,
thing is, if you can get that step done, you have saved yourself a tremendous amount of time and money and effort, and you have a legitimate deal in your hands every time. Or 9 times out of 10, I should say.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
And I actually did record this. I'm going to put it on the Mooresville YouTube channel, so if anybody wants to share it, I'll put it up there.
Wait, where we stop there?
Well, we're actually recording the audio.
I didn't say anything wrong, did I?
If he told you, then you would be afraid to
I didn't
talk.
say anything, did I?
No. Oh, wait, Tom.
I've done that.